My biggest dream was to make it to the NFL when I was a kid. And at the age of 22, I fulfilled my dream. The problem with that is there's so many things thrown at us at a young age when you make it. You have so much money, you have so much freedom, you can do whatever you want. And instead of me being able to deal with those things, I just held it all in and I was a ticking time bomb.
I'm Jerry Stackhouse. I spent my off-season traveling around the country meeting with athletes, visiting their local communities and talking about issues that are important to them and affect all of us. I'm here in New York City to meet Brandon Marshall. Brandon has just begun his 12th season in the NFL, his first with the New York Giants. We're here to discuss how he plans to use his experience to overcome cultural stigmas surrounding mental illness and learn more about the foundation he created with his wife, Project 375. How did your mental health issues first start to manifest themselves?
Every relationship in my life, friends, family, was dysfunctional. The best way I can describe it, I was depressed, and I didn't know it. It was no longer, Brandon can handle it. I knew I needed help. And it wasn't until I was at McLean Hospital I realized, I turned into a totally different person. Borderline personality disorder is what I was diagnosed with, AKA BPD.
Individuals suffering from borderline personality disorder often are highly sensitive to emotional triggers. And once they are triggered, they go from 0 to 60, that feeling, and regulating that back down is really difficult for them.
It was just how I kind of grew up, the way we learned how to deal with our emotions and cope with different stresses, how to communicate, it was all volatile. And a minority community, a lot of our folks say that there's nothing wrong with us, right? We don't believe in mental health.
We do not do a good job of socializing our kids to check in on their emotional wellness. And frankly, we send messages like, tough it out. As these kids one day become adults, they don't have tools to necessarily recognize when they're having a mental health issue, nor do we give them permission to potentially ask for help.
My entire life, I was kind of taught to mask pain, but I had to do it. I had to be able to say, you know what, you're not the strongest man in the world. And McLean Hospital turned into my football field, and those books were my playbook, and the library was my locker room. And I stayed there for 3 months, and I dove in.
In seeking help and being diagnosed, he understood that there's a lot of people who don't get the help that they need. And he made it his mission to help people.
Tell me about Project 375.
I went to school for forensic psychology because of my background and because it is my passion. Long before Brandon was diagnosed, we formed Project 375.
So we're using all of that education that she has to really take our platform and our foundation to a whole nother level.
It's our life work to destigmatize mental illness. Now we have something to work for, we have something to work towards.
Organizations like Project 375 are sounding the alarm around mental health issues. 1 in 5 Americans has a diagnosable mental health disorder. Shedding light onto something that we have kept closeted away for so long is really important.
We understand that it starts with that one person standing on a line, dealing with anxiety and don't know how to get through it, but now they're here today healthy and inspiring others.
We currently have a program called Project Prevent. It is youth mental health first aid that we take to schools across the country that are in need of mental health services.
Mental health affects all of us. It's inevitable. If it's not you, it's going to be your mom, it's going to be your dad, it's going to be your little sister, it's going to be a loved one. It may be your husband in the future, it may be your wife in the future, it may be your kids in the future. You're going to deal with it sometime.
Brandon is so looked up to by kids that him coming out and talking about these things has had a huge ripple effect.
Brandon inspired me to stop hiding my struggles and to turn my suffering into something positive by advocating for mental health awareness.
As players, we grow up thinking that's all we are. We let the sport define us. At 26, 27, I was on the campus of McLean Hospital, and I was like, wow, what's next? It's time for me to dream again. And that's, where I feel like my purpose was revealed to me, and that was to help bridge the gap in the mental health community. We have the opportunity to speak to millions and we need to use it. We need to be responsible with it.
Brandon Marshall is using his platform and dedicating his life to ensuring that people suffering from mental illness are encouraged to get the help that they need. It's a profoundly important undertaking, and clearly Brandon is up to the challenge.